Before we start our presentation, I left one thing out, and that was you need to call your veterans organizations. Even if you call them, tell them what New York State is doing. Have them call the governor's office and all the stating that your rights will no longer be violated. The Disabled American Veterans, American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Vietnam Veterans of America, the Elks Lodges, they all help veterans. Veterans are being stripped of their rights in New York State, as I've documented throughout, right to public trials, jury trial. A lot of veterans are having problems seeing their children because of these judges. I know of one in particular, 2 years, he just got an appellate court ruling that actually reversed it, but he got lucky. But it's cost him a lot of time, and he's ended up moving to Ohio because he couldn't take it anymore in New York State. Call your veterans groups. And now, and put February 2nd on your calendar. That's the date you're going to start all the calling. The veterans groups you can call anytime, but February 2nd, and I will go through that now in the presentation on calling about your constitutional rights being violated. You ask what you can do about the corruption? Well, the first thing I want to do is thank our military for defending the Constitution of the United States, putting their lives on the line for us. We need to back the military. Why is our military being stripped of their constitutional rights if they end up in family court by the state of New York? Yet alone all the citizens, but especially our military. Just so you know where I come from, my father was in the Air Force. My stepfather was in the Army. And my son, my youngest one, went into the Marines, got out 4 years later as a sergeant. Not many people make sergeant in the Marine Corps in 4 years. And if you see the tape that I've done concerning Judge Kramer and what they did to him and what was happening, keeping him in a hostile environment, you wonder how he even made it into the Marines. He deserves a lot of credit, just like all of our military deserves credit. And they shouldn't be having their constitutional rights stripped from them, as I have fully documented on my website, justicefornewyork.com, which addresses everything I'm talking about. We need as many people to band together. Our declaration, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for referring to one of our most sacred documents, and that is the Declaration of Independence. The preamble states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among them, these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." New York State does not believe in that. They believe in secret, illegal imprisonments where people are deprived of their rights. And if you go to my website, you'll also see they also believe in the abuse of children. And we have a governor and a senator, Schumer, who believe in the denigration and abuse of women. Wonderful state. To go on, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall most likely to affect their safety and happiness. If you notice, it says just powers from the consent of the governed. That's exactly what Donald Trump is doing. Is turning the United States back over to the people, not the corrupt politicians. The liberal Democrats, the liberals are going out of their mind because to them the government is everything. It is not. It's destructive. It is abusive. These judges and attorneys are terrorists. And anybody that helps them are also terrorists. What you need to do, put aside February 2nd. That's the day you need to start calling. Calling everybody. You can call Governor Cuomo, his number, 518-474-8390. Ask him why he keeps talking about corruption. It's his attorney generals and DAs that are violating people's rights. It's the judiciary that is stripping everybody of their rights. But their aim is at the legislature. Not that they're any angels. Eric Schneiderman, General Helpline. You can't get through to him. You'll have to call their General Helpline. But ask them, why are they refusing to investigate corrupt judges that are ordering people to pay more in child support than is required? Why they're being deprived of their constitutional right to a public trial, their constitutional right to a jury trial in family court, a court of proper jurisdiction. Why are they refusing to investigate these issues? I know they'll probably tell you, well, we've never had a complaint. Bull. Speaking of that, as I stated before in one of my other videos, they had Robert Abrams when I first started out, defending them, not telling the federal courts and the state courts, don't rule on this. And what do? They named the Justice Building after him in Albany, at the Empire State Plaza, the 3rd Department, the Justice Building, named after Robert Abrams, a man who fought to quash our constitutional rights to public trials and jury trials, a court of proper jurisdiction, to have a judge hear the matter. This is what they do. His name should be removed from the Justice Building. He's a disgrace. He's a traitor to the Constitution. And as far as I'm concerned, he's a terrorist. Because thousands of families have been terrorized because of his inaction and refusal, absolute refusal to protect the rights of the citizens of this state. New York State Court of Appeals, 455-7700. Ask those clerks why Judge Kaye ruled that these aren't substantial rights, the right to a public trial, a jury trial, a court of proper jurisdiction. Ask them why we're not entitled to know when a judge makes a ruling that you've claimed something that you haven't claimed. I'll give you an example. I raised the issue of the only issues on appeal were the constitutionality of state statute. Judge Simmons ruled I raised other issues. I asked what other issues I raised. I'm told we can't tell you that. That's how corrupt New York is. Department of Justice in Washington, why are they refusing? Reno did a lot of talking, nothing happened. U.S. Attorney's Office in Albany, 431-0247. Why are they refusing to investigate the corruption and protect our constitutional rights? That's their job. Every one of these people, Cuomo, Schneiderman, the judges on the Court of Appeals, the people that work for the Justice Department, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, Schumer, Gillibrand, they all took oaths of office to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States and the laws. None of them have done it. The FBI. Call them. 465-7551. They love me. They even helped put out this on me back in 93 when I wrote a letter demanding that I was being deprived of my constitutional right to a public trial, a jury trial, a court of proper jurisdiction. Everything is on my website. The letter I wrote. They put, and the charges were dismissed on the merits that I made no threats. But according to them, aggravated harassment, subject despondent, possibly armed with one or more fully automatic weapons. This was a shoot to kill order. Who provided the picture? From what I was told, it was FBI agent Clancy that provided them with this picture of me. Then they kept saying they wanted to talk to me because there was a nationwide manhunt for me. As soon as I turned myself in, they ran the other way. They didn't want to discuss anything with me about the corruption or anything else. Chuck Schumer. He's trying to do everything he can to stop Trump. 431-4070. Christian Gillibrand. 431-0120. And you got Louisa K. Hagmeyer. Now she just goes by K. With the law firm of Wobel, Markham, Schatz, K. and Fox, LLP. That is Judge K's daughter. She's a judge. She worked for a federal judge in the Southern District of New York, I guess it was. Or some federal judge. Now she's with a partner in this big law firm in New York. She's head of litigation for the Women's Bar Association. Call her up. She can speak for her mother. She raised about her mother. Right here. You know, her daughter Kay Hummer wept as she described her mother's unique personality, calling her a rebel. Yeah, her mother was a rebel in destroying our constitutional rights, with a cause who always full of life. Yeah, full of life in destroying people and their families. Here we are in New York State. Kay's mother, Judith, strips us of all our rights, and she comes from Poland. She wasn't even born in the United States. She states how thrilled she was to leave Poland after the war, to come to the United States and its freedoms. And what does she do? Her number one priority was to destroy our lives, the people in this state, of their constitutional rights. Let her defend herself. She goes, by her example, my mother instilled in me a love of the law, an abiding respect for all our noble profession, a deep sense of responsibility to muster our best capabilities, to serve all our communities in an ethical and humane fashion. Geez, talk about humane, she must be talking about her cats and dogs. And a conviction that we must fix problems, not merely dwell on them, no matter how seemingly intractable. Yeah, she fixed the problems. She stripped everybody of their constitutional rights. She stated that there were, right here, judges remember Judith Kay for her stature on the bench. She was lauded just as much for her work to keep criminals out of her courtroom in the first place. Yeah, you know how she kept them out of the courtroom? Dismissed their petitions before they even got into the courtroom, like mine. Ruling on papers that she had no jurisdiction to do. This is all on my website. Except she had Judge McAvoy cover up for her, and the appellate court, U.S. Court of Appeals judges covering up, her making a ruling on something she had a direct interest in when it came to me. You need to call family court clerks and judges in each county. The family court clerks, go on your website, whatever county you're in, whether you're in Saratoga, Albany, Schenectady, call them all. Call them up. Call up other counties. Ask them why. These court proceedings are closed. Also call the judges. Now, some counties on the websites, if you put in the county name, have the judges' names with their phone numbers. So you can get their secretaries or their law clerks. Call them and ask them why they're violating people's rights. Give your opinion of what you think of these judges. You're entitled to your opinion. Tell them what you think of them stripping people of their constitutional rights. Every man, woman, and child currently, right now, as documented in my papers and on my website, www.justicefornewyork.com, is illegally in jail because of these corrupt judges. They've been stripped of their constitutional rights. These attorneys they appoint for them, public defenders, or even the ones they pay, do nothing for them. Believe me. That's also on my website. But if they don't have the judge's name on the website, his phone number, go to the Unified Court System on the internet. Google Unified Court System. Go to their home page, and across the top they have judges. You can look up the judges by their names. They have them in order. They got A, B, C. So whatever the judge's name ends in, just hit on that letter, and the judges with that last name will come up. And everything's in alphabetical order with their phone numbers. So look them up ahead of time. Remember, February 2nd's the big day. Start calling them. I picked February 2nd. That's Groundhog Day. Maybe these judges will all go underground, hiding, because they don't want to face the truth and their illegal actions, what they've been doing. Call your Federal House of Representatives member. You can get the name and phone number on the internet. Find out who it is. Every county, or one will represent several counties. But call them. Call your local assembly person, New York State Assembly person. You get the name and phone number on the internet. Same with your state senator. Call them. Ask them why. They're refusing to have hearings on the corruption in New York State judiciary and the governor. They should be more than happy to do it. I mean, the governor and the judiciary is going after them. They should return the favor. There's more corruption in the judiciary and in the executive branch with the DAs and the Attorney General stripping us of our rights. Call your local newspapers and ask why they're refusing to print about corruption in New York State judiciary and in the Attorney General's office concerning local district attorneys depriving litigants of their rights. Give you a perfect example. I went into court down here in Albany when I let off a smoke bomb, which is not a bomb, it's a smoke device. All it did was generate smoke. Nobody even knew it went off. I went to before Judge Herrick, George Mem, Trish DeAngelis, and then there was an assistant DA there. None of them knew I was entitled to a jury trial. The judge immediately goes, well, I'm setting this down this was in October or November. I'm setting this down for trial in January. I said, am I entitled to a jury trial? The guy goes off the bench, comes back on and says, no, you're not entitled to a jury trial. The next morning in the mail, I have a note letter from the judge, which is on my website, stating, Mr. Collins, after further review, you are entitled to a jury trial. As soon as they found that out, everything squashed it, especially when I got a new attorney because I got rid of George Mem. He was absolutely useless, the whole DA's office. And you know what's funny? Mr. Herrick is now going to be head of the DAs. He didn't even know my rights as judge after being on the bench. And the law is very simple. If you are charged with a misdemeanor, you are entitled to a jury trial in New York State. Except if you live in New York City, then you have to be charged with a Class A misdemeanor. There's two different laws in New York State for jury trials, depending if you're living in New York City or outside of it. These four clowns didn't know I was entitled to it. He never informed me of any of my rights. That's all on one of my videos dealing with Herrick and my first arrest. And he's now going to be the new public defender. Good luck, anybody charged in Albany County. They'll sell you out. As a matter of fact, men wouldn't even talk to me. I tried calling him. He wanted to meet me at the time I was going on to trial to go over my case. That's how, no preparation, no discovery, no nothing. This is what they do. The Prime Minister, the Times-Union, Troy Record, Saratoga, and Schenectady Gazette. I have provided them with all the documentation, all these newspapers. Do you think they want to publish it? Do you think they want to talk to me about it? Matter of fact, I did work for one reporter. I met him afterwards, and I gave him the documentation. A week later, he hands it back to me. They weren't interested. They don't care if people are being illegally imprisoned in this state. The Times-Union especially is a socialist newspaper. They don't believe in constitutional rights. They think it's a joke that everybody's being deprived of their rights. All have received documentation from my first arrest demanding my rights and other documents. Call whoever else you can think of. Call your friends. Tell them to go to my website. Tell your family and friends how their constitutional and statutory rights have been deliberately violated by the New York State Judiciary. And before you start calling anybody, I use February 2nd, give you a little bit of time, but go on and look at the arguments so you know what you're talking about. I mean, if you look at a lot of these protesters, and a lot of them, watch Water's World or something. They go and ask them questions. They haven't a clue. They don't even know who some of them don't even know who Joe Biden is. They show them a picture of him. They don't know who he is. They don't know who anybody is. Don't be that way. Be informed. That's why if you're getting screwed in family court, you need to be informed. The judges and everybody rely on you not being informed, so they can pull the wools over your eyes and strip you of your rights, and you don't know the difference. Use any form of social media to express your concerns or our concerns. Use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it takes. Use it. Send everyone to justicefornewyork.com, documenting the corruption in both the New York State Judiciary and the New York Federal Judiciary, where you have judges like Khan Shalakis, who was a con job, McAvoy, Hurd. You know, you got all these just Scullin. They don't care about constitutional rights. They're there to protect the corrupt judges and attorneys. That's the problem with the system. Learn as much as you can, review the document, and then start calling. Exercise your right to free speech. Do not, and I repeat, do not make any threats. But you certainly can tell them they're acting in violation of the law. You can simply state you're going to exercise every constitutional right you have to expose the corruption. You can give them your opinion of the court, that the court needs to be shut down now. It's in violation of the law. Tell Cuomo, all these people, that the family court is an illegal court. Well, it's not an illegal court. The judges are committing illegal acts. They're not following the jurisdiction of the court. They're illegally imprisoning people. As I said, every man, woman, and child is illegally imprisoned in family court. And that has been fully documented.